Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And my question will go to the Council for the Governor. And let me start by saying that Article 195 of the Constitution is very clear in regards to the powers of the County Assembly in regards to being able to summon for any person to appear for purposes of giving evidence or information, and Part B of that compels for the production of documents. On Volume 2, page 31 and page 32, we have letters that the CEC had been requested to be able to issue audited reports for financial year 22-23, knowing very well we are currently in financial year 23-24. And apparently, the response to the letter indicated that still, the Auditor General was in the process of auditing the financial statements, which forms part of the response that they had requested. And yet, we have already closed financial year 22 and 23. So I would like a clarification as to why the CEC Finance was not in a position to be able to submit the audited reports as required as per the PFM Act. And on the same, PFM Act Article 91 states very clearly that the County Assembly should be able to set the capping for the impressed amount. Did the Assembly have the opportunity to be able to cap the amount of impressed that is supposed to be used as required? Because we've seen 78 million impressed, but what we have in the records as per what has been tabled is amounting to a lesser amount. So we'd want to know the levels of the amounts of the impressed. And finally, because I don't think I'll get maybe another opportunity, I would be very curious to know, Mr. Speaker, finally, if today, which is a very key day for this decision for the Meru County, knowing that this is the second impeachment process, Madam Governor, being the second one, you realize that all the MCAs in the first round agreed to your impeachment. The second round, the same MCAs agreed to your impeachment. Madam Governor, knowing very well that the County Assembly are responsible for passing your budgets, how do you then plan, if you go back to the same county, how will you ensure that these same MCAs who still impeached you for the second time are still going to ensure that they pass your budget so that you can continue with the developments required in Meru, and you're going to offer the Meru people the services, quality services that they deserve? Those are my simple questions, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Council.
I didn't get that question, but there are some questions to the witness. Perhaps he can start with those.
Okay, thank you. Probably the question that was posed to me is on why the CEC Finance, what response the CEC Finance gave to the County Assembly when requested to submit the IFMIS, an extract of the IFMIS, as per the letter dated 9th October 2023. And the response that the CCM Finance gave, that these are statements that the Public Finance Management Act under Section 164 makes provisions for the county treasury of the county government to prepare and submit the audit to the Auditor General the annual financial statements in respect of county governments. And the CCM further saying that it is upon the completion of the audit that a report is submitted to the County Assembly, where within 3 months after receiving the audit report, the county assembly can take appropriate action. So the audit process is ongoing. When this process finalizes, the audit report will be tabled to the assembly, and the assembly can take appropriate action on the same.
Talking of financial year 23-24.
Senator Tabitha, you certainly cannot do that. Proceed, Council.
Just answer.
Okay. I'll let the witness also answer the second question, which was on why we accounted for less than what was set out there.
Thank you. And why we accounted for only 2 million as opposed to the 78 million that has been alleged here is that the manner in which that count was framed, the allegation was that the governor has misappropriated funds through specific named persons who are indicated and collectively referred to as the governor's relatives. It is on this breadth that we endeavored to account for payment that has been made to these particular specific persons amounting to 2 million.
Okay, and then the last question that you asked, or first which was overlapping, we have said that there are consequences for disobeying a summon by the county assembly. That is set out in statute, so that if somebody is summoned and that person does not appear, the county assembly, just like this house, has something it can do to command the enforcement of the orders. So that I think that that is there. It doesn't mean that somebody has to be impeached. There are cases where we have seen, for example, this house summoning someone who doesn't appear. Doesn't mean those people then become a subject of an impeachment. That's what we are responding to in the context of this discussion.
Senator Maruma.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mine is some clarification from Mr. Mnene. We have some invoices that are not signed by the authorizing officers. You have indicated that they have not been signed because the original documents which have all the signatures are with the external auditors. But Mr. Speaker, my knowledge of accounting has it that the documents that are taken to the auditors are actually original copies, and you are left with the photocopies. So I don't know how you're able to get these documents that you've put in the annexures. Where did you fish them from? I want that clarity, because then the ones with all the signatures were with the external auditors. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I indicated that these documents, we got them from the file of the Chief of Staff. The Chief of Staff, ordinarily what he does is that before he forwards the document, the original document to the Department of Finance, he makes a copy. And when we were given these directives that we need to respond within 3 days, I requested the Chief of Staff to give me a copy of the file that he owns, where these documents are.
Senator Miraj.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. My questions goes to the County Assembly. Are the IFMIS transactions that form the basis of the impeachment of the governor the same ones that are the same ones under investigations at the EACC? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Respond.
Mr. Speaker, we do not know. All we know is that this complaint was also sent to the EACC and to many other agencies. Whether EACC is actually investigating it, we do not know, and there is no evidence, either from the governor or from anyone, that the EACC is investigating these complaints.
Senator Lekina.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I've got two clarifications that I need to get clarified. One is from the lawyer. I was listening to, and the question.
Which lawyer? There are so many lawyers here.
The lawyer for the Assembly. Thionkolu. It's a very good name. Volume 3. We are looking at section 45, protection of public property and revenue, etc. So you referred to 45, 2A, Roman numeral number 2 and 3. And specifically, you said goods not supplied or not supplied in full, number 2, services not rendered or not adequately rendered. So the question that I wanted to get clarity from you is whether you are relying 100% on the IFMIS extracts or you've received audited financial statement as per Section 31 of the Public Audit Act. And I want to remind you, Section 31(5) stipulates that after the audit process, they shall be tabled in Parliament and also at the Assembly. So if you can clarify that, I'd really appreciate it. Number 2, I asked this question yesterday. I didn't get a proper clarification. It has come back again today on the issue of the accounting officer. Section 103 of the PFM Act establishes the county treasury, and it puts the CEC in charge of finance as the head of the county treasury. Section 199 of the PFM Act, which is a penalty clause, stipulates penalties which are going to befall any public officer who is in charge of the resources and does not account for them. Could you kindly clarify whether the documents that you've supplied in the case have been audited by the Auditor General and an opinion rendered by the Auditor General on the actual position of those funds? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Council, proceed to respond.
Mr. Speaker, we answered yesterday that the oversight function of the County Assembly and indeed of the Senate is not conditional upon or dependent on whether there is a report by the Auditor General.